Good morning, everyone, and welcome to my podcast. My name is Lynette. Today we're going to talk about how to build confidence at any age. And I'm going to start right out of the chute saying the best way to build confidence is accepting yourself and your surroundings just as they are. I know in the previous episode we discussed when life doesn't go as planned. But part of that is accepting what is going on with you and around you and realize it is part of the plan. When you think back to your dreams, your goals, your desires, in our minds we picture it different, just as, I don't know about you, but everything I imagine, people I'm going to meet, whatever, it's never the way I actually visualize it. So just knowing that the way it turns out and accepting it that way. Just today I was thinking, I got irritated because, I don't know, I can't remember what it was. But then I realized I do have everything I want. And, it's hard to accept that because I think in our minds we picture everything we want looking different. It made me start to think about my children. Like, if I was to give them everything, go out on a limb trying to make their life the best it can be, trying my best to meet their needs and so forth, and they turned around and said, but I still want this and that, and then I'll be complete. It would be a slap in the face. So we have to look at it that way. God has given us everything that He has given us. And instead of having gratitude, I'm all irritated. So with that being said, I think part of building confidence right off the bat is being grateful for what we already have and accepting what we have, accepting who we are, and believe and know that we are perfect just the way we are. Our surroundings are perfect just the way they are. They will always change. Things always change. And if you believe and look at things from a positive standpoint, they will change for the better. But it's not something you need to control or even stress after. Yes, if you want to achieve more in your career and so forth, you need to do the work. You can't lay on the couch and watch TV and expect to get that job you wanted. You have to be prepared for it. But in general, and I think this is key to enjoying life, is not always trying to change things, not always trying to control things, and certainly not having the attitude when this happens, then I'll feel better. But enjoying things just as they are right now and freeing your mind from having to think so hard about what you don't have. And I believe all of that builds confidence. When you walk in gratitude and accept who you are, what you look like, and just know you're perfect just the way you are. Nobody has your personality. Nobody has your sense of humor. Nobody has your looks. You're wonderful just as you are. As far as your surroundings go, this is where you're supposed to be right now. May not be forever. You never know what tomorrow brings. We've talked about that many, many times. But walking in the state of gratitude and accepting yourself and your surroundings for what they are, I believe it builds confidence. It builds confidence because you don't need somebody else's approval. You don't need somebody else to come into your life to take care of things for you. You're good the way you are, but anybody else that comes and adds to your life is a blessing. And look at it as such, and that frees you. So when you walk and you know you have everything you need, you're right where you're supposed to be, you're wonderful the way you are, Your surroundings are wonderful the way they are right now. May not be forever, but right now. And you walk in confidence. And you know that. And you also know that what is supposed to change will, in fact, change when it is supposed to. Another big thing about building confidence at any age is you don't have to explain yourself. You don't have to explain anything to anybody. And I know I'm guilty of this. I think I've shared with you that I have some caregivers. And I'll say, would you do this because blah, blah, blah. And I start to explain, and I have to catch myself. Also, what's very, very, very important in building confidence at any age is finding your niche. Your niche is going to be different than it was when you were a teenager. It's going to be different than it was when you were in your 30s. It's going to be different than it is after you retire. Because when you're younger, 20s, you're getting the education for that job, that career. 30s, you're trying to climb the ladder. And so you're working towards something, and so you have this goal. This fulfillment is in the goal. But when you're older and everything kind of drops by the wayside, your income is pretty much established. And you think, now, what do I do? What is me? I gotta say this first. I went through that. When I first got ill, I went through it. I thought I had my identity, who I was. And then when I got ill, I had to give that up. And I remember having a real identity crisis. It's like, now what identifies me? I mean, truly me, which gives me my own niche, which is who I am. So fast forward in finding something that is you, not something that is anybody else, not something that pleases anybody else, but something that is you, whether it be painting pictures, whatever it is that you find that makes you happy. And if you don't know what that is, go into prayer and meditation and ask God what you should be doing, because I really believe that is key in finding what makes you you. I think that gives you an identity, and especially when you have an interest in it. After my diagnosis, I stumbled across boat rowing, and at first it was difficult because my mood was not that good. But then as I went and started meeting people and learning how to do it better, I ended up really enjoying it. I gotta say, I ended up loving it. I love the atmosphere. I love being out on the water. I love the people I met, and it became my identity. And so you never know where it's going to come from. But if you're open, if you pray and meditate, the niche will fall into your lap. Mine did. I think on the last episode I shared with you about letting my friend move in with me who lost her home. And so it was her moving in. She was from Southern California. And she told me that she used to do dragon boat racing. So I said, you could probably do that here. So we started looking into it. And they didn't have dragon boat racing, but they did have rowing. And I said, I wish I could do it. But because of my mobility issues, I didn't think I could. And she said, you can. Everybody can. So we called the phone number, and sure enough, the coach assured that it would be fine. I mean, I never would have dreamed in 1,000 years that I would not only be rowing, but even want to be rowing and enjoying rowing. And it became a big part of my life. Not to mention the exercise, the sunshine, the ducks on the water, the flowers growing on the riverbank. It gave me more than I ever thought was possible. I think all of that, certainly when I was first diagnosed, I was thinking it was the end, but it was actually the beginning, a whole new chapter through all of that, I had to turn over stones that I wouldn't have. I would have just been living status quo. First the rowing, then other things kind of came into play. And I could feel my confidence starting to flourish. I could feel it because I had no choice but to accept things the way they were and make my life function. In fact, a friend said to me, "You've really changed, haven't you?" And it wasn't anything outwardly because I know I wasn't putting on airs or anything. I was just being me. But she could sense that something was changing. And I will say, and I firmly believe, every cloud has a silver lining. Because as much as I want to regain full mobility again, I gotta say this journey has been more than I can ever imagine. I mean, take away the negative part, the actual part of losing some of my mobility, the things that I have gained, the confidence that came with it. And I don't think I would have strived for it on my own. And I'm not saying God made it happen, but it did happen. And it turned my life into something better than I ever would have dreamed of. It's nothing tangible. I look the same. I live in the same home. But it's on the inside that has changed. I can feel it. I can totally feel it. And part of that is becoming stronger. But I'm going to share with you the changes that I feel took place internally. It's hard to explain the changes that have taken place, but things that I noticed about myself. People will say things to me that before I would have let just go over my head. But now they're doing something that doesn't feel good to me. I'm not as accepting as that. It's in a very positive way to where I'm protecting myself. And again, that's part of it. That's key in raising and protecting you as a child with the things that you needed as a child and you feel like you didn't get. So now it's you taking care of you until that child grows into the person that you are now. And your body and your past self unite together at the same time and flourish from where you are at that point. Another big change was I had no choice but to stay home more and sit quietly. And at first that was very difficult because my thing was I was on the go all the time. But I learned to sit quietly, which made me more familiar with myself. It made me realize, and as minor as this seems, I realized what TV shows I really like. Not what everybody else really likes, but that I really like. And I would sit there and catch myself laughing when there's nobody else in the room but me. So, in other words, I'm finding who I am, who my identity is. What are my likes? What are my dislikes? What are my limits? What are my boundaries? So all of that comes into play. And I believe that's what builds your confidence. It's not anything outwardly. It's not a new car. It's not a new hairstyle. It's the changes that you make on the inside, the changes that you may not even thought about changing, the changes you may not even realize need to be changed. And in turn, you end up developing more of an interest in other people because you're content with who you are. You can have the ability to listen to others, really listen, and take an interest in what they're doing, which makes you a far better partner, spouse, mother, father, whatever the situation is, because you're contented with who you are. So remember, no matter what's going on around you, no matter what age you are, learning to just accept everything around you, including yourself, just as you are, gives you permission to just be. And therefore, it goes without saying that you're going to walk in confidence because you're confident in who you are. Remember, it's not exterior material things. It's not something that you feel and try to make happen. It is just something that you are. So by letting go of all of this worldly stuff, when this happens, that it'll be this way or that way, confidence is here now. We all have it. And just being free to be who you are. With that being said, I thank you for listening, and I will talk to you next week. Bye-bye.